So almost a year ago, I splurged and I bought one of these Quest 3 VR headsets when it was just coming out. I'd always wanted to experience virtual reality, and from what I was reading, the Quest 3 was finally the right time to jump in. And honestly, I think I was right. It's been an amazing experience, and the Quest 3 has performed well. It's done everything I thought it would do. And I've been using it to stay fit and active over the past year. I think this is a particularly appropriate time for a review with winter coming up, people staying indoors, with Christmas coming up, gifts, and with a cheaper version of the Quest 3 having just recently come out called the Quest 3S. So most people think of video games as a sedentary activity, and some VR games do have sit-down modes, as if you're just sitting down looking at a big screen, or maybe you're sitting in the cockpit of a fighter jet or a race car where you can look around and you're driving. So it might not be as active as other games, but most games do have you standing, do have you moving your arms, do have you bending down, contorting your body. They're great just for staying active, staying limber, using your arms, right? Using your hips, using your legs. Sometimes I'm not even playing an exercise game and I realize I've probably done 40, 50, 60 squats. And I didn't really think of it as exercise because I was having fun. Now, there are games that focus on fitness. It's basically like attending your own private exercise class.
8 shots. And more balls to slip and strike. I hear the alarm. Must be time for a switch up. Could it be a fast jab cross? On repeat. This is rhythm. That's boxing, timing. Fluid, flow. Shoulders roll and tuck and go. Switch on the gearbox, back heel off the floor. A little bit of intensity. Squat.
So some days, maybe I'll play an archery game for 15 minutes to help stretch my back muscles, right? Right? You can imagine how good that feels, right? And so imagine playing for 50 minutes and you're just doing this again and again. At first, I probably couldn't play more than 5 minutes, but I built up my endurance. But that has been my go-to sort of, I've spent too much time at the desk. I need to take a break. Well, let's go shoot some zombies with some arrows. If I feel like sweating, let's say a medium amount, I might pick an activity where I'm swinging a sword of some sort. And that gets you swinging, dodging things. That's sort of a medium amount of activity. And if I do really want to get a real sweat on, I pick one of those dedicated exercise programs. I really don't think I can overstate how immersive these games can be. It is quite the experience. I think everyone should experience VR at least once in their life. If you like shooting games, it's hard to go back to pressing a button to reload after you've experienced, unholstering your weapon either here or here, removing the magazine, putting a new one in, chambering around. Your reload speed is dictated by your own coordination. What about dodging, actually physically moving your body behind a pillar or, ducking behind cover, physically moving your body? It's just so immersive and it can be so fun. In one game recently, grabbed a gun with my right hand, tossed it to my left, grabbed another one, and I'm firing with both. Like that's fun. And it's immersive. It feels like you're there. It feels like you're holding guns in your hand. It is fun. I strongly encourage people and I strongly recommend people to try VR for both fun and staying active, so for fitness. Now, first, the cost. The Quest 3, the version I have, now sells for $500 US, which is $150 cheaper than what I paid for it a year ago. It has 512 gigabytes of storage. The Quest 3S sells for $300 for 128 gigabytes and $400 for 256 gigabytes. The Quest 3S has the same internals as the Quest 3 and plays all the same games. The lenses are cheaper. They're from the last generation. They're from the Quest 2. If you want to look up what people think of the lenses in the Quest 2, you can read reviews of the Quest 2. Now, how much storage space do you need? Is 128 enough? Do you need 256? Do you need the 512? Well, I have 50 games installed, and I'm using 292 gigabytes of space. The YouTuber WolfenVR recommends the $300 128 gigabyte Quest 3S or the $500 512 gigabyte Quest 3. So basically, don't get that $400 Quest 3S. It's basically not worth it, because if you're cheap, if you don't have the money, then you're going to buy the cheapest. If you have the money, like, don't just get the more space, get the better unit with the better lenses. So the 256 gigabyte model really doesn't make sense. You know, the Quest 3 is pretty much the best VR headset you can get regardless of price. It's a great unit. So you shouldn't feel bad, I think, splurging on it, particularly if you're thinking if you want the space. Now, most games are surprisingly small, but a lot of games are very simple. It's more like an experience. After an hour or two, you've experienced all there is to experience with that game. So a lot of them are simple, and they're just a few gigabytes. So 128 gigabytes may hold about, I don't know, 20 games. You can then delete games you aren't using and re-download them again later if you want to revisit them. Some games are even free. You can also pay for a monthly subscription to have instant access to a small collection of games with a couple new ones every month. That's why I have 50 games installed on my unit. I didn't buy 50 games, maybe I bought 10 games, and the rest I got because when I bought my unit there was 6 months free of the subscription, so I got to sort of try out many games. If you are buying games, most games are $30 or less, and there tends to be a sale on games around the new year in particular. There are some accessories that I strongly recommend. I strongly recommend these active straps. The active straps I have aren't the ones from Meta, but they're aftermarket or third-party straps, and they've worked wonderfully. So the way these work is they hold the controller right onto your hand, so it can't move around. You don't really have to hold on to it, because sometimes in the VR experience you're just focusing on moving your hands around. You really can forget that you're holding something physical. A controller, like, you don't even feel the controller, you don't have to think about it. So I love these active straps. You're exercising, you're just focusing, go Brandon, oh, 30 seconds left, 30 seconds left. I'm not focusing on holding on to something. Now, there are times when I don't use these straps, but I don't bother to take them off. But if you can think about games like golfing or sword fighting, the way the strap holds your hand, it's a little bit incompatible. So for example, for golf, I'll just take my hand out of the strap and put it around and then do my normal golfing sort of grip with it. Sword fighting, you have a more fencer style grip with it, right? And then when I go back to the games that it is comfortable with this sort of grip, then I put on the strap. And again, my exercise games, I highly recommend the strap. I think the strap is brilliant. I do recommend upgrading the head strap. You can see I have an upgraded head strap. This is some sort of third-party head strap. This just allows you to put it on and off much easier, and it's more comfortable. Not that the default one was surprisingly comfortable and fit very well. And I was like, oh, I bought this third-party one. Is it going to be more comfortable? It is more comfortable. And it is quicker on and off, so I don't regret spending the time to take off the default one and to put on the new one. The other thing I recommend is a silicone face cover. You can't really see it in here. You can see sort of I have this floppy thing here near the nose. You can see it, and there's a fabric cover. There's a fabric pad, and under this silicone pad. So the silicone protects that fabric pad. And since I got this for exercise, I get sweaty. There's sometimes a puddle at my feet, and if it wasn't for the silicone face cover, then it would be, probably really smelly after all of these months. Now, what happens if you wear glasses? Now, the face cover can be extended to give you more room for your glasses. My wife tried this and didn't really like it, but it worked. The better option is to get prescription inserts for about $50. Now, these are self-contained units that run the games and programs right on the headset themselves. You don't need anything else. But you can connect them to a powerful gaming PC to use them for a PC VR experience. More games, better graphics. The built-in battery here, like it has to do all that processing and the screens. It's amazing what this thing can do. It lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. It does not last that long. And that might seem really short. But when I work out, I'm a sweaty mess after 30 minutes. And for other games, it does force you to take a break from gaming. So I don't necessarily, like it's rarely a problem. If it is a problem for you, you can get external battery packs to mitigate that issue. One neat feature is that you can stream the game to a phone, tablet, or computer to let others in on the fun. You know, playing Resident Evil 4 with the wife watching had us both terrified. Watching my wife struggle with a puzzle, had me in stitches. Speaking of puzzles, there are puzzle type games where if you have a second person helping, it can make it a team effort. Now, speaking of gaming, VR gaming can make you very sick. It can make me very sick, where I'm like throwing up, I can't walk, I'm falling over. And this mostly happens when your character moves in the game, but your physical body doesn't. So there are games where you use the controller, you use the stick, and so your character's running forward, or you're snowboarding or skiing down a mountain. And so your brain thinks you're moving, thinks you have to adapt, thinks you have to shift your weight, but you don't have to because your body isn't actually moving. And the disconnect can be extremely uncomfortable. Now, with practice, your body may adapt to this, but for me, I've just been avoiding that type of game. Sitting games aren't as bad. Games where you stay in one location, which is the type I like, you're moving your body, you're actually moving your body in space. That doesn't make me feel bad. Games where you teleport, lots of games, sometimes even the games that have you running around, they give you a teleporting option. So you can teleport. So you're physically moving your body, you press a button, you teleport over there, you're physically moving your body, you teleport over there. That also doesn't make me feel nauseous. Some games have a vignetting setting to help with the motion sickness, where your field of view shrinks down. And I think the idea is that we don't get nauseous watching television. We don't get nauseous watching a movie. So it shrinks down your field of view till it almost feels like you're watching a television screen. And it truly does help mitigate the nausea. Although, I remember one game I tried recently, I turned on the vignetting setting, and the vignetting setting reduced the field of view by 1%. I was like, that doesn't help at all. But some games that with a very significant vignette setting, I am able to play, which is good. And I recommend playing around with the settings and you might be surprised what you're able to do and what games you might be able to play, taking advantage of those things to make the games more comfortable. Now, how much physical space do you need to play? Well, if it's a sitting down game, you need a chair. I play mostly standing up, and here is a picture of my gaming space. And I haven't had an issue with that gaming space. I have my arms over the couch, and so I'm swinging them around. I often sort of tap the couch with my shins to make sure that I'm close to the couch, that I'm not wandering away from the couch. The unit allows you to program your sort of play area. And when you start to get close to the barrier, to the wall of your play area, you'll see a grid indicating that you're close to the border. These units have a pass-through mode. With the pass-through mode, it's like you're not even wearing the headset. What you see is what's outside of the headset. And it's great for, taking a sip of water, checking your phone, something like that. Or if someone has a question, pause the game, put on pass-through mode. You don't even have to take it off. Now, the unit automatically goes into pass-through mode if something jumps into your play area or you step outside of your play area, which makes sense. You go to pass-through mode and then you can adapt to whatever happened. And so these features are pretty brilliant if you think about it. I can't imagine people without these features years ago where something happens and they can't see what's happening. Something's hitting them. What the heck's going on? Or they're tripping over something. Like I truly think the Quest 3 is the point to get in. It has so many smart features like this. Is there anything bad to say? The battery life can be limiting if you're having fun and it dies. And as I said before, you can mitigate this if you have an external battery pack. Now, in the olden days of VR headsets, they used to have to post cameras sort of around the play space. With this generation of units, the camera on the unit itself, these front cameras, they keep track of where the controllers are themselves. So all the programming happens on the unit itself. So you don't need to install cameras around. That being said, there is a downside to having all the cameras on the unit. When I have the controller way above my head like this, it loses it. And sometimes when I'm doing archery, if I pull it sort of way back here, it's going to lose the controller because the unit can't see where the controller has gone. So I have to bring the controller, make sure to not bring it too far back, make sure it isn't hanging out way behind my head, because that's a limitation of this style of technology. If the unit can't see where the controller is, then it can't see where the controller is and can't figure out where it is within the game and within the program. Now, another issue I've had is that every once in a while, I have to reprogram the borders of my play space again. It could work well for a month, and then I'll turn it on one day, and then the floor is at my waist, or I'm 10 feet tall. And I just know, okay, I just have to reset everything. It's not a deal breaker, it's just a minor annoyance. Like modern appliances, modern technology, there's updates every couple of months, and every update seems to make something better and then make something worse. I play across from some mirrors right now, and since the last update, it's been kicking me out to pass-through mode. I think it's worried about me colliding with the man in the mirror, but it's worked perfectly fine for the past 6 months in this location. If it continues to bother me, I'm sure there's a setting somewhere in the menu that will help. So this sort of concludes my review of the Quest 3. I highly recommend the Quest 3, and I highly recommend people getting to VR for fitness and fun. It is a great way to stay in shape and to enjoy life. Next, I'll do some mini reviews of some games I recommend. The first game is Body Combat. This is a great fitness game. I had to start with only 5 to 10 minutes at a time to really build up my endurance to tackle the 20, 25 minute, 30 minute sessions. And I was sweating heavily. This is fun. I like that it doesn't use a subscription model. You actually buy it. I love that. I love the upbeat, non-stop, motivational, encouraging throughout each workout. They're always there encouraging, you can do it, you can do it, you have a hook coming up, you can do it, full power, come on! It's great. The game isn't without its flaws. I'm not a fan of the music, and the music is tied to the trainer's encouraging guidance. You also can't make your own custom workouts, just pre-made sets. The second game is PowerbeatsVR. This game is really, really customizable and also doesn't require subscription. And the reason why I mention subscription is a lot of the fitness apps, fitness programs require a monthly subscription, and I hate that type of stuff. So that's my preference. So you can buy PowerbeatsVR. Here are some great advantages. It uses your own music collection. You put your own music MP3 files onto the Quest 3, and it can pull from those files so you're listening to your own music while exercising. And it uses that music to create basically exercise tracks. We're trying to follow guide wires with your controllers. You're trying to punch these rocks. You're trying to jump out of the way to avoid hitting a wall or hitting a black spiky thing, and how many of them, how quickly they come at you. That is all determined by, of course, your settings. You can adjust the type of structures and obstacles that come at you. So it's very, very customizable for the intensity. With the default settings, though, you need a bit of side-to-side space because you have to jump out of the way and fit your body into tunnels to either side. As with most things computer generated, it feels a little lacking compared to a designed workout track in one of the other exercise programs. Beat Saber is a rhythm game where you slice colored boxes to music. It's not my favorite rhythm game, but it is good for a moderate level of activity, and it tests your reaction speed and memory. The game is very customizable in terms of difficulty and intensity. I recommend either not using the active straps, or if you are using the straps, using the custom settings I have on screen here. You may have to pay extra to download some DLC songs you like in order to get the full enjoyment out of Beat Saber. Blaston is a free game where you shoot guns at an opponent and they try to shoot you. The unique spin on this game is that the bullets travel in slow motion, and so you can dodge them like Neo in the Matrix. So you'll end up squatting out of the way and contorting your body. It's great fun, and it's good activity. InDeath is an archery game. I'm sure I've sunk over 100 hours into it. It feels great on the back, and it's super fun. I had to really build up my endurance though, because at first I could only hold basically the bow up for 5 minutes at a time, and now I can do it, well, until the Quest 3 dies on me. It has two modes. One where you're standing in place preventing zombies and knights from getting into a portal. The other where you are exploring castles and dungeons using a long range and a short range teleport to get around. Golf Plus and Walkabout minigolf are both fun, but they're more for relaxing than for fitness. Resident Evil 4 is a great game, and the port to VR is terrifying. I'd played the game many times on the GameCube many years ago, but the first time in the VR game, I had my back against the wall, zombies were coming in through the window, I tried to reload, drop the mag, and drop the gun and died. Only in VR can you accidentally drop your gun or forget how to reload when panicked. I could do more mini reviews, but this gives you a sampling of where you could start. I hope this encourages more people to get into VR and to stay active. Cheers.